But when you're looking for a career where students are going to school 4 to 5 years and coming out with nothing in their pocket, then what?
And that's why education really is truly is my number one issue. As your next day representative, there are a number of different things that I want to do with education and education reform. I mean, we've talked about Detroit Daily Dialogue. We've talked about bringing teachers together and making sure that they have the resources that they need on a day-to-day basis. I don't think that they have the true resources that they need, the true training that they need on a day-to-day basis to compete, not only to make sure they're educating our kids to get to a global level, but also to participate in the urban market. There are some teachers that just don't get that education in school, and I think that we need to provide that training.
Yeah. I'll say something to that.
China Cochran.
I'm trying. I was in the middle. You were in the middle of that, but I'm working on my thesis is going to be on teaching activism to teachers, teaching them how to become social justice advocates.
That's right.
But it's not only about just teaching them, but it's showing them how to teach students about their, global things, history, diversity. Because a lot of times, especially what I've learned, observing classes at Eastern, because I'm planning to do the PhD at Eastern, and so I've been up there, and it's a lot of educators. And they haven't really got activists in programs to where they say, I've been involved in this or I've been involved in that. They're just teachers, and that's all they believe that they are teachers. But teachers have a responsibility to teach a whole child and show them different things, but they think, I just got to do math and science or whatever. So I think that was a good point that you just brought up.
Say something on that point.
Yeah.
And she's right, because I've been very blessed, very blessed. Like I say, same woman, 44 years, kids have done well, grandkids are doing well. I've been very blessed. But, well, since we was 12 years old, we've been married about 37 years.
Do that even exist today?
But, and when I retired from Wayne State, I was blessed to even retire early, because kids all had scholarships. I'm in to spend about $4,000 on 3 college. Is that I opened up a store, and I thought about I wanted to grow further, and I thought, where are the best brains in my community? In the schools. Got talked in the black male speech about 8 years after I retired. Went into the trade public schools as substitute teaching. I'm thinking, I can get the teacher that got the MBA teaching business, do my business plan. I got this thing I'm doing over here, and I know they can help me out over here. We can create a company. But I found out they were just there as their job to teach. And it threw me off, because I'm thinking they had this vision, they're excited, they got all this education. I had this lonely bachelor's degree and hanging out in the hood. But you're right, they weren't activists. Even when I would run against the union, didn't know what I was doing, but get my signatures. They would sit back and get abused, and it didn't make any sense. So you're right, I agree with that.
And I believe that, just like we were saying, our education system needs a complete overhaul. Even from the way we fund it to the way we administer it, and even more importantly, from the way we protect our most prized possession, and that's safety in the schools. I think that's essential, and we're not paying attention to it or including, the police department. I think for the first time this year, the police department and Detroit Public School Police Department are actually working together. Or was it last year?
No, it was when before the state takeover. I call it the state takeover now, because now Bob contracted out all those white contractors, and those kids are wearing them out in Mumford. They had
I know.
guards
That's right.
in these schools. But if you notice, last year, a year before also, it wasn't discussion about violence in the schools, because even the principal at Mumford and Finney and them calmed that stuff down with African-centered education thing. It was, how do the Detroit Public Police and Detroit Public Service officers partner up that 2-3 blocks away?
Right.
Especially when that young man from Henry Ford got killed 2 or 3 blocks away. So start finding out you were minimizing the violence inside the building. Now it has came back around, as we know. 7 kids. I asked, has there ever been 7 kids shot before? Someone told me, no, not at one time. And another thing, not doing summer school, because you don't have that many kids in summer school. But I said this on child. I do agree, because I didn't realize DPS had charter schools that came on the board.
Yeah.
So I wonder, why was they arguing it against charters?
Because the reason being is let me give you an example. The reason being is because it's politics, and not creating solutions. Now let me give you an example. There's a young lady who is going to be the principal over here at University Yes Prep, over at the old Winship. Now, that lady when I first heard her name, I said, I know her from somewhere. Did some research on her. I said, she's from the University of Michigan. She used to be part of BAM. You know, BAM is always talking about going against charter school.
Right.
And she is over here as a principal, getting ready to run a charter school. And I thought that was very interesting that she has evolved from, because when she left U of M, she went to go work for Teach for America. And the reason going back to that race to the top legislation, the reason why that alternative certification piece was so critical was because what was happening, Teach for America, right, which is a nationally renowned program, you had a lot of recruits coming out of the University of Michigan, and a lot of those students from U of M wanted to come back to Detroit, but because there was no alternative certification program, they had to end up going out of state. So you're taking a brain drain out of state, and you're taking talent out of state, and a lot of those people don't come back. So we had to fight. we had to fight to get this certification piece inserted in this race to the top. And the race to the top legislation was not perfect. Some of the things I said, oh my God, I have to go along with this, but the certification, the schools of excellence, those things were needed. The cyber schools. I worked at something close to a cyber school, even though it was in-house, and that was Life Skills on Jefferson, where the kids work at their own pace online. That was the closest cyber school you got. Now these kids can work from home, almost like going to the University of Phoenix or Kaplan or some of these because that's where education is moving. And we cannot stay in the 20th century with education when you have everything in the information age online, where you have whole curriculums, whole programs, where you can get a degree, even a PhD online. So, the reality is that black folks in our community need to come up to the 21st century if we're going to compete economically, if we're going to compete globally, if we're going to compete with the rest of the crowd. And the crowd is not just the United States. We're not talking about domestically, but internationally. And that's what I'm trying to get people think about it. When you have a group of people from Ghana, Sierra Leone is one of the countries in Africa where people come here and most of them are doctors. Okay, now how do they become doctors when they just suffered a civil war over there? You understand what I'm saying? They get over here and they become doctors. Nigeria right now, where my sister lives, Nigeria right now has a 60% literacy rate, where the women actually have, their literacy rate with the women is like 40-something%, 43% to be exact. They come over here, they become doctors, lawyers, dentists, the whole nine. It's like, and I call it a Superman effect, where you know how Superman didn't have any powers on Krypton, he got exposed to the yellow sun, and all of a sudden, Superman is Superman. Well, that's why I feel like most Africans and Caribbean people, we poke fun about Haiti. Well, why are we helping Haiti? And I tell people all the time, I said, listen, an educated person will not even discuss Haiti, because an educated person will look at Haiti as an emerging market. You will go to school to master in urban and regional planning. You will master in architecture, the whole nine, to help rebuild Haiti, because Haiti is an emerging market. Because if you don't get to it, and if we don't send our children to get to it, I guarantee you the Chinese will get to it. Right? I guarantee you that white folks will get to it. And so the reality is, you're right. So the reality is this. We already know historically that the United States had a hand in destroying Haiti. They're never going to admit that. Had a hand in destroying Haiti when they were trying to build these plants and push the population to Port-au-Prince, and that's where people were building houses on top of houses. Then an earthquake occurs, and 270,000 people get killed, and then the United States want to give $100 million. We're not looking at our own emerging market within the diaspora. And what I'm saying is, we have an opportunity here in the state of Michigan to make that a reality. The state of Michigan sit on 4 out of 5 Great Lakes. Okay, I could never understand. I used to live in Benton Harbor. I helped open a charter school in Benton Harbor. The first thing I asked was, how come you guys are so broke down here? And they said, what do you mean? I said, look, if you rebuild your educational market down here, people will flock to this. Most people on this side of the state don't even realize that you can open up a business in Benton Harbor and don't have to pay taxes for 10 years. So if you wanted to open up a Subway or a Cold Stone Creamery, or whatever, you can go down there and open up a